Hey guys, Steven Martinez here, founder of The American Dream. Today's a very special segment and episode where we're really gonna dig deep into why we created The American Dream. Why are we helping the Latino community? So essentially this is a little different for me because I'm the one that does the interviews for the most part, but I brought my cousin. I mean, we've been friends for 20 plus years, so I just call you family at this point. Yeah. But I figured who better to really dig deep into what I'm doing than someone that I've known for so long. So if you want to introduce yourself, feel free, brother.
How's it going, guys? My name is Carlos Mejia. I'm a firefighter EMT, and nothing special. Just here doing God's work,
saving lives.
And today I'm here to talk to you about my boy Steven, and the American Dream. And I guess we'll start off. And how'd we get here, Steven?
Oof, man, it's been a long road, huh? Well, if we really want to, I guess, dive into what I created, we really have to go kind of back in time. I think a lot of people that don't know me, don't know my childhood and I guess my upbringings. I know you do, but essentially I grew up with mom and dad, right? They immigrated from Colombia. They came here for an opportunity, a vision, a dream, the American dream. Unfortunately, they got divorced when I was around 12, 13. And then my mom was cleaning houses. My dad worked in construction. And, it was one of those things where it was embedded to me as a kid, like early on, especially from my dad. To be the best, to take advantage of the opportunities. He really made it known, the opportunity that we had here. And I feel like your family did it too. Like, if you're from El Salvador, like this is how they live, this is how they have it. Mm-hmm. If you were in Colombia, it's a whole different lifestyle. Like you're very lucky and fortunate to be here. Take advantage of your opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of people don't take advantage of the opportunity that they have living in this amazing country. So, I had I don't want to say a tough childhood, but it wasn't, easy. I want to say my dad was a good dad, but a bad husband. But I learned a lot through him. I always give him props. And then my mom, she was a fighter. I was raised with my older sister, my little brother. My sister's now a teacher. Little brother is finishing school. And I was always like the black sheep of the family. I kind of always got myself into trouble somehow. And I started to I know you know all the stories, but
we're not supposed to talk about what we've done.
Yeah, we're trying to talk about the future and what we're doing now. But it's all about life, right? Like you live and you learn and you create ideas and concepts. And I was fortunate enough to go to a really good high school. We moved. I went to Garcia Middle School in Sugar Land, or like Richmond area, right? Sugar Land. And then we moved to the other side of the train tracks, what I like to call it, the train tracks by Sugar Land. So then I went to Clemens, and I really started to kind of see, different lifestyles, right? I noticed how when I was younger, everything was so natural with the minority group. It became very kind of cohesive, very adaptable, like I was used to it. Mm-hmm. And then I saw a whole different lifestyle and I was like, whoa, I want that. You know what I mean? When you're in the candy store, and you're like, I want that one. Like, mm-hmm. That's how I felt. And I was like, how do I get there? Right? So I was able to really distinguish myself, and I played soccer my whole life. I think I started playing soccer when I was like 4 or 5. I played professional in England. But before we get to that, just kind of coming up, I went to Clemens, and then I saw a whole different kind of demographic and financial status or financial quo of, different people that make a certain amount of money. And I was like, man, it would really be nice to be involved in that. And like we lived in the worst side of Sugar Land. Mm-hmm. Like when Clemens, like dude, the houses are like $1 million mansions. Yeah. And then I lived in like the little corner, like neighborhood that no one talks about, but somehow like I made it in, So I started to really understand that, there's a difference and there's one life that we have. So how can we maximize this life and enjoy it and build a legacy and help people out, like not just my mom or my family or friends, but the family tree only goes on for so long until you really start to impact lives. And going through that, I went to school, I hustled, and then it was kind of embedded to me to go to school, like university. Mm-hmm. So I was playing soccer. I played professional overseas. I lived in England for 4 years, got my bachelor's in international business. And I guess the concept that I really had in my mind was, if you go to school, you're going to make money, right? But later then I find out that if, like, school's important if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something, right? Mm-hmm. But for business, you have to get deep into it. Like, you're a paramedic, so you study a lot, right? Like, obviously, but you need real life experience, because you're like, oh, this is how it happens, this is how it works out.
Yeah.
So I lived in England for 4 years. I got my bachelor's, and then COVID hit. Mm-hmm. So I came back to Houston. And then I was like, you know what? I don't want to be complacent. I want to stay moving. I want to be productive. So I took my GRE, which is like your SAT for your master's. Mm-hmm. Somehow I got approved, dude. I don't know how. I didn't even study. But shout out to U of H for getting me accepted.
Go Cougs.
Yeah, so I did my MBA there. And at the time during COVID, no one was going to the stores. No one was going to Target, Walmart, anything like that. So there was an app called Shipped, which is like Instacart. Mm-hmm. So you go to the stores and you do groceries, and then you bring them to people. You leave it on their doorstep because they don't want to obviously go to the store.
Yeah.
So I was doing that on the side to make money. I wake up at 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and do online school, and then pretty much finish school. And then my buddy hit me up one time. He was like, hey bro, it's my birthday. Do you want to go out? I was like 21, 22 at the time. And I said, yeah, let's go out. So we go to a bar. And then after the bar, he's like, I want to do something else. So I'm like, all right, sure, let's do something else. And we end up, you know, those bars where the waiters are, you know what I'm talking about, a two-piece suit and all that. It's open till like 5 a.m.
And they...
Yeah, where they dance. Yeah.
Bottle service?
Yeah. So we go there. And keep in mind, it's just his birthday. We're having a good time. We're young. And I see a guy in a tuxedo, like a suit, like a business suit. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, man, like, this guy looks like a baller. Like, you know, it's so cool. But, you know, I'm in my group. I mind my business. And then we just start talking like this. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, man, like, tell me about yourself. Oh, well, did my bachelor's in business. COVID hit, came back home, doing my MBA, have an internship as a marketing coordinator for Shell. Mm-hmm. And he was like, man, fuck that. I did 30 million last year. I'm going to show you how to make real money. I see something in you. And I just met the guy. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, he's like human trafficker. I don't know this guy. I was kind of scared. And I remember this so vividly because it was during the day before Labor Day. Was when
Sorry, that was funny.
Yeah. So it was the day before Labor Day. And like anyone would be hesitant, dude. Like, I mean, the odds are against you, right? You just met the guy so late, you know, sketchy hours, telling you like
you might end up in a van, tied up,
bro,
being shipped to another country.
I'm telling you. So I was one of those where I was like, you know what? I'll get his number. And I used to wake up in the morning every day to run. And I woke up at like 7:30 to go run. And I remember like it was yesterday, dude. I was running, and I was like, man, let me call him. Just had a feeling, like, I can't explain it. So I called him, and he's like, hey bro, we're leaving in an hour to Louisiana. If you're serious, your life will change. And I remember this because we were going to do a barbecue for Labor Day, and I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I think I have an opportunity that, you know, I can't miss. And I remember when he told me this too, he said, opportunity is like a train, you know, it's there and then it leaves. He's like, I'm giving you an opportunity. And I called him. He was like, I leave in an hour. I told my mom, I can't make it. My mom said, best of luck. I love you. And I'm driving, and I don't even know this guy's name. And I'm like, what do I tell valet when I get there? And he's like, oh, it's Anthony Domenico. That's his name. And I'm like, okay, so now I have his name. So I Google him to make sure he's legit. And then I Google his name, and he's legit. He's like, entrepreneur, he owns businesses, he owns a really big conference. And I was like, that gave me like a really like, okay, cool, like I'm not gonna die. Right?
Yeah.
So I go to the Post. He's staying at the Penthouse, which is like $15,000 a night. And that was my first impression. I was like, damn, man, like this is the life I want, you know? So I meted him. He's like, yeah, man, we're leaving in like 30 minutes to Lake Charles during Hurricane Laura, Sally, Delta, and Charlie. I'll teach you everything about the game, everything about the industry. And I had my Lululemon shorts, my polo, and that was it. I was like, let's go. So we went to Lake Charles, and he introduced me to pretty much everything in regards to the knowledge that I have within that space. So he has one of the biggest conferences for the blue collar space called Win the Storm, and he just sold it actually to Josie Parks. He sold it, I'm not sure for how much, but he sold it. And then he has an online training platform that teaches contractors how to scale their business with like sales, production, quality control, marketing, admin, documents, the whole insurance claim process for roofing. And dude, when I got there, I didn't know what a shingle was. I didn't know anything. I knew two things. I knew I was good at relationships, good at networking, and I understood the concept of business from my MBA. So I knew how to speak the words, the fancy words, right? There's always a saying like school just teaches you how to say stuff. So I knew certain stuff and principles, and he had like a recruiting training platform, right? And he was like, this is what you need, learn it, sink or swim, good luck. Like very like, either you get it or you don't and you're out of here. Like he has nothing to lose.
Yeah.
But I had everything to lose in a sense. So I remember I was at the Golden Nugget and I had the laptop dude, and I would just like go through everything like vigorously, just training knowledge. So I went from not knowing what a shingle was to closing a $10,000 deal that first week in person. And not a lot of people know this, but I was with him for 45 days, and then he went back to Scottsdale. And I was like, okay, like, well, fuck, like, I'm kind of like, you know, what's going on with me, right?
Hey, it's not fair. You said we can't say bad words.
Yeah. So he's like, you know, Steven, I want you to close something. If you close a deal, I'll fly you to Scottsdale, Arizona. And I'm kind of like, okay, cool. You know, I'm not, if you're in sales, you get like the leads, right? You have a whole like list and all that. And I was just barely getting into it. So I'm hustling like crazy, dude, by myself at home, trying to close a deal so I can prove my worth, so I can go to Scottsdale and get a full-time job. Kid you not, I kid you not. I go to the Galleria of the mall, and I get a call from a prospect, the lead. He's like, I'm ready to go on the Zoom call. I hotspot my phone and my laptop, and I do the Zoom call in my car, in the garage. There was no service, like no Wi-Fi, so I had to hotspot. And I'm in my car like this, bro, on a Zoom call, trying to close the guy on a 7,000.
That takes a lot of luck to get signal in that garage.
Yeah, so I'm like, dude, the odds were so severely against me, right? I'm in the garage, like just like the worst place to ever close a deal. And I get on the call with him. I do my thing. I kind of had like a little like strategy or formula on like, you know, how to take the conversation. And he's like, let's do it. And then we closed him for like 7,500. And there was like a group for like the company, like group text thing. And I was like, put on the board 7,500. And then it processed. Because obviously like people speak, but like had this information, it processed. And this guy was like, get his flight now. So that's how I ended up going into Scottsdale. I don't think you ever know this story. I don't think I told you.
I don't know how you got there. I just know you got there.
I met him. I did good. And then I had that call in the parking lot garage in the Galleria Mall. Had to hotspot my phone, and he's like, take this guy there. So I moved to Scottsdale, and at first I was like, man, like Arizona, you know, desert. But Scottsdale's actually really beautiful.
Scottsdale's nice.
Yeah, it's a good food, good scene, and it's a really nice area too. So I was there, and he was like, hey man, stick with me for like a month or so you can save up your money and get your own place, because I didn't really have that much money. And he had a really nice mansion, so I was like, all right, cool. So I was kind of tagging along with him for the most part, and I learned how to literally run a $30 million company. I saw everything. Whereas if I was in my internship at Shell, I'd be in a cubicle, But I saw everything. How does sales work? How does marketing work? How does HR work? How does admin work? What do you need to structure and put in place to have an effective and efficient company and an operation? And then the clients that we started building, at least for myself, my Rolodex, there were clients that were doing 30, 40, 50 million. So then these clients would become my friends. So when I was in Scottsdale, I learned everything, like everything. But then I started to get good habits and then bad habits. So the good habits was the knowledge. The bad habits was the unfortunate consequences that comes with money, right? So like, you know, you're going out, you're drinking, drugs.
The vices.
Yeah, women, all that. So I kind of wanted to separate myself from that equation. And I said, you know what, Steven, I think it's time for the bird to leave the nest. So having said that, I'm in the blue collar space, right? So in construction. And I started to analyze stuff. I said, why is it that this guy hosts an event for 6,000 people and not one Latino shows up in the blue collar space, where the Latinos 70 to 80% run the blue collar space?
Yeah, let's ask a question. You don't have to answer it, but who do you think is building this country? Who do you think is helping with the food that is being put on your table? Who do you think takes care of that food, grows that food?
100% the Latinos, bro. I always tell people, if you go to a Chinese restaurant, there's gonna be a Latino cooking your Chinese food.
Yep.
If you go park your car, a Latino's gonna take the keys for the most part. If you're going to wash your hands, a Latino's gonna give you a towel. Bro, you know, we're so under-serviced sometimes that, you know, it's a big passion of mine, because sometimes people take advantage of us because we're uneducated, unfortunately. So having said that, you know, he would have these events and I wouldn't see any Latinos. I'm like, that's strange, right? So I build my Rolodex, I build my relationships, and I'm like, I want to do something for the community, man. They need it more than ever, because these guys are making so much money, and then the laborers, the subcontractors, or the people that just have vision, like visionaries, and they want to create their own concept and business, they just don't know how to, unfortunately. It's like if you have the best restaurant, but no one knows about it, you're kind of screwed, right? So I decided to take that knowledge and concept and transform it. And everyone's looking left, and I want to look right. So I said, let's apply the same kind of idea, but transform it a little bit to where we're actually creating a difference and impact in the Latino community. So he has the event, and then that's what led me to create the American Dream event. But when I left Arizona, it was kind of like, all right, I left Arizona. I gave everything in my apartment to a single mom. Is that how you single mom? Yeah.
I don't know. People have a lot of.
Well, she didn't. Like, it was just.
Could
her.
be single mom.
Well, you know what I mean.
Could be not.
Yeah, I mean,
people are very interesting nowadays.
Yeah, she had kids and stuff, and I was like, here, just take everything. I didn't have anything at all. I drove back to Houston. I had maybe like $1,000, $2,000 in my bank account, but I left with something. I left with knowledge, and I left with relationships. So then I was like, all right, Steven, this is your plan of action. This is how you want to get there. How do you get there? So I did something where I had my girlfriend at the time. She was really good on the phone. She was good at talking. So I was like, hey, contractors and businesses, what runs a business? Revenue. What runs revenue? Sales. So let's have a recruiting company. We'll go to Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and LinkedIn. We'll do the qualifications, the criteria, their payment, compensation. We'll fill out the qualifications, the resumes. You get them on the phone, and then we get them on a Zoom call, and then we get them in a group interview. And we'll charge $5,000 per package. So it's like a 2 to 3 week campaign, charge $5,000. And then if you hire one guy, and that guy does one roof, you already made your money back. So it's a no-brainer, because the roofing industry is very profitable. So we did that, and then I started reaching out to my old friends, right? I was like, hey, bro, you know, I left, I'm doing this, you want to, you know, I'll deliver, bro. And, you know, they liked me. They want to see you, winners want to see you win.
I think you called me at one point.
Did I? Oh, yeah, I think I tried to sell you a ticket, right, one time? But that was in Arizona, though. That wasn't for the recruiting stuff. So, yeah, so I had the recruiting stuff going on. I started calling people like, yeah, bro, let's do it. So we'd fly out to all these places, fill up the room, they'd hire them. But that was the principle, like the first step. And I already had it planned out. So when we were doing the recruiting service, if you make $20 million, right, and a 22, 23-year-old wants to kind of dissect your business and consult you, you'd be like, dude, you're 22, I make 20 million, I'm good, right? So I did this. I was like, hey, man, I'm going to do the recruiting service for you, but can I do a complimentary analysis on your company? We'll do a brand and marketing analysis, and then we'll make sure everything's structured up to par. And they're like, yeah, sure, it's free. So we would dissect everything from looking at their sales, their KPI, are their contracts informed? Do they have a CRM system? What estimating company they're using, supplementing company? Really making sure everything's systematized. And then we look at their SEO, their pay-per-click, their branding, simple stuff that sometimes people don't have. And one of my friends was like, dude, this is really good. And he did like 20 million. I was like, just give me a testimonial. That's all I want. So he was like, okay. So he's like, I want to give a shout out to Steven for consulting, helping us out with different stuff in the business, So now I went from recruiting to consulting, and that's exactly what I needed, because now I have credibility because I had that testimonial. And then once we had the consulting, that's when I wrote my book, because a lot of my mentors have books, and it's a good source of credibility as well and reputation. There's a saying that, if someone gives you a business card, you might lose it or throw it away, but if someone gives you a book, you're not
I throw all the business cards away.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single one of them.
Exactly.
They're all in the trash.
So we did that, had the book going, and then this is when it really shifted. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm looking at these companies from a consulting perspective that do 30, 40 million, and I like how they do this. I like how this company does that. So I created my own kind of ecosystem and formula. I learned from the best of the best, right? And then I said, okay, we have the recruiting done. We're done with that. We have the consulting. We have the book. Now I have the knowledge, and I have the formula and the strategies. So now let me look right and implement this to the Latino community. So then that's when I started to kind of branch out, and I was like, if you're in the blue collar space and you're looking to scale your business, I can help. And then we had the book in English and Spanish. We had the consulting. We would shift that into the Latino community. And then I created the event. And the event was an idea and a vision that was tough. So for the event, let me get some water, hold on.
Yeah, it takes a lot to set up an event.
But no proof of fucking concept. Sorry, no proof of concept. There was no proof. I would have to go. I went to RoofCon, I went to IRE, I went to SRC with a vision and no proof at all. It was me by myself going to vendors, going to sponsors, telling them about an idea and selling something that hasn't even existed yet. Hey man, do you want to be a sponsor and give me $10,000 for something that doesn't exist?
You want to give us a story about how you got Telemundo?
Yeah, I will, man. So I got everything going, right? I got like the whole branding, right? Personal branding stuff. So I realized for my event, I needed marketing. So marketing is like a tree, right? There's different branches. You have your traditional, which is newspaper, TV, radio. You have your digital, social media, right? TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You have your SEO, your pay-per-click, Google My Business. It's all different branches, right? So I knew that I needed to partner up with someone who is very reputable in the marketing side. And I figured, okay, let's reach out to one of the biggest TV media stations in the nation.
For the Latino community.
For the Latino community, exactly. So I wake up, I'm like, all right, today's the day. I'm gonna go and just present myself. So I actually go to Univision first. I don't know if I told you that.
No.
So I go to Univision, and then I'm like, okay, I don't know how this is gonna play out. I just kind of just pull up to the gate, and I'm like, yeah, I have a meeting with the director of marketing, director of sales. Like, we don't see you on the calendar, sir. I'm like, yeah, sorry, I said I drove 3 hours, I really drove 20 minutes. I was like, yeah, I drove 3 hours to come here. Like, I just need like 10, 15 minutes of your time. We're doing something for the community. And there was the lady at the gate, and she was like, no. Like, she was very rude. It kind of bummed me out, man. I was like, man, there goes my shot.
Here goes my fake story.
Yeah. So as I'm leaving, I'm like, you know what, man? My mom didn't raise a quitter. I'm going to find something else. What's after Univision? Telemundo. It was like a 10, 15 minute difference. So then I go to Google and I put marketing director of Telemundo. And then I had a name. Saw him on LinkedIn, his name's JC. So I was like, all right, I'm going to tell the person at the front that I'm here to meet with JC, so I have proof, and I'm going to walk in like I own the place. So I walk in, I'm like, hi, I have a meeting with the director of marketing, JC. Like, okay, sir, taco. I'm like, okay. I'm like, step 1, done. All right,
You got to step
2.
up your security, Telemundo.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
So they called JC, and funny enough, this is a really funny story. Me and him talk about it all the time. He actually thought I was delivering frames because he was expecting frames that day, and he was like, "Oh, this guy's the guy for the frames." So he like comes up, he's like, "You're not the guy for the frames." He's like, "Can I help you?" And I was like, "Yeah, we met a couple of weeks ago at a networking event." We didn't, and he was like, "Okay, can you like help remind me?" I'm like, "Well, we're going to host the biggest event for the Latino community." He's like, "Oh, interesting." He's like, "Yeah, like let's talk." Really nice guy. So completely cold call Telemundo. I just showed up. I don't recommend people to show up to places like that. You might not have the best luck, but somehow I got away with it. I think confidence was crucial at that point. Walking in, you know, with
and bad security.
Yeah, bad security. So we talked, and he was like, "Dude, I love what you're doing, man. I've never heard of this. We're in. We're gonna help you." So me and JC have a really great relationship based on that, and they've helped me tremendously.
Does he know?
Yeah, he knows the real story, yeah. At first I was kind of like, I don't want to tell him, but he knows the real story. He loves it. He admires it. So they've helped me out a lot in the trajectory of the event. They've helped me partner up and meet, you know, certain people and vendors and sponsors that are helping fund the event as well. So that was the story for Telemundo, just, you know, showing up, delivering something that hasn't existed yet, which comes back to the point of, all right, so, you know, who's going to fund this? I got to raise capital for the event. So I got marketing now done, check, right? I have my connections and my relationships from my previous jobs, so I know people that do really well that would love to speak and grow their brand and educate people. So I have speakers, check. I saw venues, check. Everything was check. But now we need the sponsors and vendors to raise capital to pay for the event. So I started going by myself to all these events. And I just started networking, man. I'd go straight to the vendors and sponsors, and prove my concept. And when I tell you it's so hard, bro, to sell something that does not exist, you really have to sell the vision, and you have to be passionate about anything. And I think that goes for anyone in general. If they start a business or they want to have an idea or a product or a service, and it's not there yet because it's an idea, because everything starts as an idea, you need to be so passionate and confident about the delivery of it, because that's what's going to convince people to be involved.
Let's talk about the failures then, since there was no proof. It was just a vision.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the failures?
Yeah, so we ended up getting a lot of sponsors, vendors, and it was our first event. I think we had around like...
Here, let me be more specific. When you were looking for people to sponsor you, how many people said no and how many people said yes?
Oh, man.
That's what I want people to hear, like, that it's not all peaches and roses.
Yeah, it's not like I want everyone they're closing.
No, and everyone's saying, yes, here's my money. Yeah. I love your idea that is never even been done. So, yeah, tell us about how many people said no and how many said yes.
A lot, man. A lot of people said no.
And how did that feel?
I remember one time, networking is important, obviously. You have to network because you need to build a relationship. I remember one time I was at this networking function from the event at this bar, and I was so drained, bro. I was like, man, like, I give up. And I was like, no, you know what, bro? Like, I vividly remember, I was like, suck it up, man. Like, you know, my social battery is like draining down. Like, I was tired of talking to people, trying to sell something that wasn't there, or like at least show them the concept and the vision. And I just manned up, man. I put my pants up. I was like, let's do it. But you know what I realized, and I kind of have this instilled in my head, when someone says no, no means new options and new opportunities. So when someone says no to me, I don't care. And I've told people straight up to their face, if you're not involved, I'm still gonna sleep well at night. I'm trying to sell you a vision and a concept that's gonna help you make money, bring awareness to the community, and educate the community. It's a win-win. And I think just by really being transparent and passionate and confident in your message, that helps a lot too. But yeah, man, it was tiring too, because, bro, I was telling you, I was going to all these events, you know, just trying to connect, build relationships. Ended up getting a lot of the sponsors and vendors. I think also the art of the sale is important. I would consider myself a pretty good closer.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you put 10 people in the room, I'll probably close 9, and the other one probably just doesn't have the money. You know what I mean? I mean, at least that's how I think of myself. I have that mindset that I'll close no matter what. So it was tough, man. It was tough, but luckily we were able to manage. You know, it wasn't like you said all peaches and cream. It was a lot of hard work, determination. You know, you have obstacles, you have fees to pay, you have to pay the deposit by certain dates, and you don't have the money. And I'm like stressing. I'm like, how am I going to get this and that? But God provided, honestly. That's all I can say on that point. My mom would be like, Steven, are you stressed out? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give it to God. God's going to help me because I know what I'm doing is something good. This is what I'm meant to do. And we had the event. We had amazing speakers. We had a nice venue. We had great sponsors. For the first event, we had a pretty good turnout. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, we had proof of concept finally. So that was the big one.
How long do you think it took from the inception of the idea to the day of the event? Because there was also a book that was written that was necessary for this event to happen, right? The American Dream, that's what the book is called. You can pick it up on Amazon.
Yeah. The event, it's funny you say that. I've been asked that before. The event was always in my vision. The moment I went to Scottsdale and I saw what he was doing, I felt a calling. I knew I had to do something similar, equivalent to what he was doing, but change it up. It was one of those where they say a wise man, you know, listens more and speaks less. When I go to a room, brother, I'm telling you, I'm probably the quietest guy. And when it's my turn to speak, I'll speak very well. So I would go to all these places with my mentor at the time, and I would just shut up and listen. And I think our generation talks too much sometimes, and I was really being a sponge and, you know, just absorbing all this amazing knowledge from people that are so successful, just feeling so lucky that I'm even in the room with them. You know, I'm just that one kid who's 22, director of sales, barely making 6 figures, and these guys are making 9 figures. So I got that knowledge, and I was like, man, the community needs this. And it was always like, kind of like that silent voice, like, hey, you know? But then it started to grow louder and louder and louder and louder. And then once I left the nest and I left Scottsdale, I was like, this is what we're doing. I'm ready. So the idea was always there, man. The idea to help my mom was always there. The idea to help the community was always there. The idea to leave a legacy and impact and help people has always been there. I truly believe if you have a product or a service and you bring value, no matter what it is, you know, you'll make money in business from it, aside from the intention of you wanting to bring value and like wanting to do good for people. So I think that's really important as well. And funny enough, no one's ever done an event for the Latino community. So, you know, I figured someone's going to be the crazy person to do it for the first time. Why not me? Why not the black sheep, right? So it's always been there, man, always been in the back of my head. And then we were able to create it. We had a good turnout. This year, the next event is June 21st of 2024 in Houston again. We're going to do it in Houston because we want to perfect it. And once it's like systematized, and we have it to a T, then we'll go like Dallas, Phoenix, Miami, LA, like the other Latino cities. So this year it's going to be at the Weston Medical Center, and then we'll have our VIP event as well on day 1. We have amazing speakers lined up. We have a lot of sponsors and vendors. And then I think for attendees, we're looking to have maybe around 300 to 400 people.
And where can people get these tickets?
You can get them online. So if you go to americandreamevent.com, you'll find all the information with the previous conference and then the 2024 conference. And then you'll see the options for tickets. And then if you want to be a sponsor, you click contact, you fill out the sponsor form, and then our team will reach out. But I remember actually one of the proof of concept was really important, man. This goes for anyone in general, because you need a proof of concept, like a testimonial review, something like that, because then people will reciprocate it with business, right? Like, okay, Mrs. Smith had a good review, let's work with them. So we had a company actually reach out maybe like a month ago, and he was like, man, we heard about your first event, But I'll be honest, you know, we are very analytical with our marketing expenses, and we don't want to gamble on the first event. No offense. I was like, dude, I get it. He's like, but I heard it went well. I saw your website. I've seen your videos. I've seen you guys on social media. I think you guys are doing something awesome, and now we want to be involved. So a lot of companies actually like reached out for the second event because now they saw the proof of concept, because, you know, it's either going to be a hit or miss.
What kind of companies have been reaching out to you?
We had this was really cool, because you know how I used to go to like the conferences and stuff to get the vendors. Now they're coming to us. So we had this company called Siro, SIRO. They're an artificial intelligence company that does like sales training through AI. It's pretty cool. And they reached out to us like, hey, you're on our list for events that we want to attend to. And they signed a pretty big sponsorship deal, which really helps, because that's what helps pay for the venue and the marketing and the catering. You know, there's a lot of cost and overhead to that, which a lot of people don't understand. So they're an AI company. The one that I mentioned, I was like, hey, we heard about your first event, but we weren't going to attend. But now we're interested in the second because, you know, we heard it went well. That was like, it's called Cutco. So they do gifts, like customized, personalized gifts. So if you want to give a customer or a partner or an associate a gift, they like customize it, which is pretty cool. So we have different types of companies: marketing, estimating company, a public adjusting firm. Who else? Real estate investors. It ranges, man, because for us, our target isn't just the blue collar space. The blue collar space was kind of more of where I came from in that niche. But the concept and vision is to bring every Latino from any type of background, any type of job that they have, right? Not necessarily blue collar space, right? We want to get the guy that's in real estate, want to get the person.
There's a lot of successful Latinos here.
Absolutely, man. Houston
there's
has
Ivy League, like studied Latinos. There are Latinos who are very intelligent who never even finish elementary school, yet they're millionaires. But it's because they're hustlers. And school is amazing. You can learn so much in school, but what's one thing that school can't teach you?
Experience.
And can't teach you how to hustle.
That too, man. Latinos hustle.
Yeah.
Latinos hustle, bro.
You ever seen a Latino on the street?
No.
Begging for money? Begging for food? Nah.
They don't, man.
No, we don't do
hustle,
that,
bro. If worst case scenario, they'll be at Lowe's or Home Depot hustling, trying to find some job to make hours for labor. But I 100% agree, man. I think our communities instilled something that very few people, I don't want to say very few people, but some people lack, which is work ethic. You know, we're a community where we're underserved and uneducated, unfortunately.
But not everybody.
Not everybody.
Because there's a lot of people who've come here who...
Of course.
I met one guy. I used to manage restaurants. He was a cook, and I was the manager, and yet he had a PhD, and he used to be a journalist in Mexico. But long story short, the cartel didn't like him, and they told him, you either come to the U.S. or we kill you. So he was working at this restaurant, serving tacos, and I was the manager, and I was still in school, and yet there was this guy right here with a PhD serving tacos. To me, that's not an educated person. That's just someone who came from a very dangerous country where he could have died if he didn't leave.
Yeah.
That's one example.
No, I think you're on the money there, man, with a lot of people that, I guess they don't really understand because they don't know. But I've met so many people that would come from Venezuela, Colombia, and they were doctors, lawyers, and now they're driving for Uber
or cleaning houses.
And it's sad, but at the same time, you know, they come here and they drop their position, their job, because not only of the financial opportunities, but also, you know, the safety and security reasons as well. But coming here to this amazing country can really change your life. And sometimes we take it for granted. And I think the Latinos don't take it for granted. They understand the opportunity they have here. That's why they work so hard, because they know what's on the other side of the...
opportunities.
No opportunity.
No safety.
Exactly. So that's essentially why I created what, you know, we did with the event. It was to help those people that come here, those second, third generations as well, where, you know, they have the hustle, the mindset. All they need to do is just, hey, bro, go this way. They need a guide. And who better else to create a guide than some of the most successful people that can teach, mentor them, bring value. And I tell a lot of people this too. You know, I don't have 8 figures or 9 figures. I didn't sell my company for 150 million, but my friend did. Right? All I'm doing is bringing people together to provide value. And I like to think of it as the theory of the dollar. So the theory of the dollar goes like this. If I buy a product or service from you, give you $1, right? You have your dollar. And then you need X product from, let's say, Mrs. Smith, right? You give her the $1. And then she wants something from me. So the dollar it's a cycle, right? Like it always comes back to you. The same way an idea is with networking and building relationships. If I bring you business, one day you're going to bring me business. And if not, then it might be from a word of mouth, or you might know someone who knows someone, essentially. So I think that's what I also want to provide and bring to the community, to them understand, like, you're not by yourself, man. You know, you have a community. We want to back you. We want to support you. Let's network. Let's work together. Let's build relationships. Sometimes our community can be a little hesitant.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we have to like kind of watch our back sometimes, which I totally understand.
Don't believe in anything.
They don't.
That's good for you.
Yeah, they don't. Like,
it's good for you.
Is this
must not be true?
Yeah, they're like, is this too good to be true, or you know what's going on? Very hesitant. So I've noticed that the key, honestly, the key to success, that from what I've seen from mentors of mine that do extremely well, I think I'm very blessed to say that I have some of the most successful mentors in different areas. It's that they network, man. It's not a competition. It's a collaboration. That's all it is. If you collaborate and you network and you build a relationship, you will be more successful. I'm telling you, like, I've seen it. You know, it's not a monopoly. It's not a dictatorship where, you know, it's just me, myself, and I. You know, you're a horse with the blinds on. Like, no, dude, they work together, man. They understand the game. And that's what I want to try to show the community, like, hey, let's work together. So the next event's going to be in June, and I'm really excited for that one. But yeah, it's been a long road to get there. Definitely been a long road. I used to be the kid in high school that I'd raise my hand and I'd say, can I go to the restroom? And I wouldn't come back. I'd just go and like start like messing around, walk in the halls, or go to like B or C lunch and get more food. And then I'd come like 2 minutes before the bell rang. I used to get in a lot of trouble, man. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that kind of, you know, mindset of, you know, I don't want to work for people. I want to, you know, do what I want to do. But I mean, you know, some of our stories,
keep breaking rules. That's the message.
Don't break rules. Yeah, you don't want to break rules. But it's a learning
You might
curve.
become rich or end up in prison.
But funny enough, man, some of the people that we've actually brought here, because the podcast itself, the idea of the event is the event, but then the purpose of the podcast is to have more of an intimate connection with the person that is going to come as a guest. And a lot of people have different stories and messages, but it's the same kind of message, right? Like motivational stuff, mindset, but everyone has a different story. We had someone that went from being homeless, being addicted to alcohol and drugs, to now running a $10 million company. We had someone that was in jail or in prison for, I think, like 12 years, and now he runs a $40 million company. We have people that have gone through different tribulations and obstacles, whether it's internal, you know, like vices, alcohol, drugs, or if it's, you know, jail or intimate, like family, relationship, business problems.
You've had a veteran?
Yeah, we had a veteran.
What was his name again?
Eric Wynn.
Man, wonderful story.
Yeah.
Check that guy out. Really powerful story.
Yeah, so Eric was a sniper, and it's pretty cool. And he's actually one of my mentors when it comes to mindset. So, you know, if you're going to get advice from people, I always recommend having different mentors for different stuff. Like if you want to have a mentor for your body, right? Let's say you want to be in shape, you're not going to go to someone that's overweight. Clearly, like they're not taking care of themselves. You want someone who's in their top pinnacle condition. So Eric is he is my mental mentor. And you know, you have your emotional, you have your mental side, your business, physical, different variables as a human, right? So he's one of them. But yeah, he has an amazing story, and then how he transitioned here. And then, you know, sometimes we think we have it tough, and I'll call him and he'll be like, man, this is what I went through. I'm like, yeah, I take it back. I'm good now. Thanks for the talk. But that's exactly why I created the podcast, to give people that opportunity to learn, see different stories, see different viewpoints and understand that, you know, it's possible. If he could do it from being homeless, if he was in prison, if he, you know, was a veteran, if X, Y, or Z, right? You can do it. It sounds so cliche sometimes because people think, oh man, I hear this all the time, but it's so true. If you believe in yourself and you manifest it and attract it, you can achieve it. All you have to do is just execute. Stop letting those thoughts in your head get to you. If you have something, don't let it just be there, do it, right? That's what I did. I know I got up, I went to Telemundo, I went to Univision, but then I went to Telemundo. You know, those vendors didn't come asking for my event the first time. They didn't even know what my event was. It never existed. I had to get up, go there, network, and get it done. And I think that's what people should understand too, especially the younger generation, I think. If you really just instill that mindset in yourself, and people go through all sorts of stuff, but if you just believe in yourself, right, and take it day by day, and that day you try your absolute best to be the best person you can be, you're going to end up getting 1% better, and by the year you're 365% better, right? So that's exactly what we want to instill, not just in the Latino community too, but just every entrepreneur. Is the conference specifically targeted for the Latino community? Absolutely, but we also welcome everyone. We, you know, let's say if Tommy, who spoke last year, Tommy sold his company to a private equity firm for 150 million. You know, a lot of people want to hear him talk even if they don't speak Spanish, so it's totally fine. Yeah. We encourage everyone to come to the
event. Are we going to have some Spanish speakers this year?
So the target that we're hitting is like second, third generation, so kind of like us. And the way I always like to tell people is, would you rather learn from someone that did 150 million or someone that did 1 million? 150 million.
Yeah, clearly. But there's got to be people who speak Spanish who also make that kind of money, though.
There is, and if there are, I haven't met them yet. So that would be great if I, you know, got to meet them. Obviously, that would be a great opportunity to have them into the event. But as of now, you know, what we have with our relationships and our network, you know, you kind of get what you get, right? But still, I mean, you're talking to someone that did 150 million. But most people understand it. Our target is second, third generation, so they understand English. Okay. We never have an issue. You know, questions like that came up, but I always try to give that example, and then people kind of understand. And then, you know, it's 2024, man, right? So most people here already kind of understand English for the most part. And like our parents, right? They came from South America, but my mom can order a Starbucks like that now. I'll talk to my sister in English, and then my mom pretends like she doesn't know anything. She's like, oh, you said this. And I'm like, damn, look at you. Like, you know everything now. So she's awesome, man. I love my mom. I give credits to her. If it wasn't for her, I don't think I'd be the man that I am today. Yeah. I'm not perfect whatsoever. I did have a lot of ups and downs in life. But one thing that has always been fundamental has been my mom. She's always been my rock. And I owe everything to her because of her. My dad is a great dad too. He instilled a great mindset. But my mom, man, she's awesome. And she's a U.S. citizen. She's happy. You know, my idea as to why I do what I do is not just to help people out, but I want to retire my family, man. You know, like your mom works hard too, your dad works hard. Like, wouldn't it be nice, you know, once you have that financial backing to be able, like, hey, I got you. Yeah. You know, so we're getting there, man. We're building something, and it's going somewhere, and I'm really excited. We're involved with the city council. We have nonprofits involved. A nonprofit called the Lemonade Stand. So they help kids under a certain financial quo understand business through the concept of a lemonade stand, which is really cool. We also have a nonprofit that helps veterans in wheelchairs. So that's awesome as well. And then I know we talked with your dad for the nonprofit as well for the El Salvador, for the El Salvador, to help the kids out. So, you know, that's what it's all about, man. Just trying to leave a footprint. And was it easy? No. Is it worth it? Yes. And are there going to be haters? Yeah. You know, people, you're not going to please everyone. And that's just life in general. You have to kind of just roll with the punches there. I remember when we were pretty much about to do the first one, man, we were getting some backlash from some haters. Yeah. Just shut them up, man. you gotta keep moving forward. They say if people aren't speaking about you, it's because you're not doing anything. So if people are talking about you, it's because you're doing something that they want to do or they wish they could do. And I just block it, man. I let God take control. I know what I'm building is creating something that's going to be manifesting in so many different places, man. Like, my idea is to take the American dream not just to Houston and not just the US, but also South America, Mexico, Colombia. Because people watch the US, they see what we eat, what we watch, what we wear. So why not learn business the American way? This is how we make money. These are the systems and secrets and strategies that we use to take our business to the next level. You never know, right? You can learn something. So that's the vision that we want to build. We're involved with the nonprofits. We're involved with the city council. We're involved with law enforcement here. We had the constable of Houston show up a few weeks ago, which was really cool. It's all about really helping the community. And I love Houston. I love Houston. I think Houston has some of the best food, the best people. It's so diverse, the culture. And
if you're not having fun in Houston, you're not looking hard enough. Let me just tell you that.
It's very tough
because every day of the week, you can find something, and it's going to be a good time.
Absolutely, 1,000% agree. I saw a TikTok, and the guy was like, "Man, like Houston, it's like you're out in Houston, like subconsciously you're always out because that's everything's out. You know what I mean? It's like you're never like inside." But I love the city so much, man. I love the people. I can't explain them. I don't know if it's bias or because I grew up here, but I really have a deep passion for the community and the city. You know, I'm very happy that I've never had a bad experience. You know, obviously there's a lot of cities that are dangerous. Houston can be dangerous too, obviously.
Houston is dangerous, yes.
Yeah, but I'm very lucky to never have had a situation like that unfold. I also try to be very precautious. I don't try to get into any trouble or anything like that anymore. But yeah, man, I love the city. I want to help the city. The city's growing incredibly. And I want this event to be that event where people are like, yo, are you going to the event in Houston? And like, no, it's the American Dream event. Like, I want to build that brand here before we take it anywhere else. So we're doing good stuff, man. I'm going to meet with the new mayor, John Whitmore.
Awesome. So
see how he can get involved. Other than that, the event is going really well. And I know the idea and the overview of this segment specifically is to talk about the American Dream, why we created the event, why we created the podcast, the book, the brand. And I always tell people, it's not about me. It's never been about me. I'm not the one that's telling you how to scale your roofing company, because I never scaled a roofing company. I never did 20, 40 million, right? For me, it's about being that middle nest connectivity where you're the nucleus and you bring people, right? It's like a spider web, and just bringing the right people involved so they understand the power of relationships, the power of networking. And building that up, man, has been rewarding, honestly. I'm not content yet. I'm not happy. I think that's something more of like my mindset. I think sometimes I could be too hard on myself, and I want to be a perfectionist. I have OCD. Do like you know, I move the cups like this and that sometimes when I go to a restaurant. But it is what it is, right? And sometimes I'm like, hey, don't be too hard on yourself, man. You're just 26. You had your first event at 25. But I'm not happy and I'm not content in that aspect because I want to be successful so bad in the sense of like by yesterday. You know what I mean? Like I want to retire my mom yesterday, right? So there's a mission and a point. There's a clock. The clock's ticking. Parents are getting older. I'm not getting any younger. I need to make it happen. And I think that's where that hustle and drive always sees me pushing, because people are like, dude, why are you always like motivated? You're hustling. You're doing so much stuff. I'm like, it's the mindset that time is of the essence. Time is freedom. And we're here one time, as far as we know, in this planet. We have one life. Make the most out of it. Do something with yourself. It doesn't have to be an event. It doesn't be anything. You save lives. That's amazing.
Sometimes.
It could be something as simple as opening the door, saying, hey, I like your dress, even if you don't like the dress. It's just being nice, man. Being nice, courteous, respectful goes such a long way. And that's a really crucial thing that I really want people to understand, man. I've seen some videos on social media, and you know, they're so rude sometimes to people. I think I saw it the other day. there was a guy and he was like dressed in an outfit and he was like, do I look fresh? And like they were making fun of him. You don't look fresh, you know, da, da, da. There's no need for that, man. The world has enough hate, you know. Why not just be nice for once?
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much what we're trying to do. We really want to leave an impact, and I think that hustle and drive, it's what has set me apart, and it's just been instilled ever since. Obviously I don't have always like that, right? I have my days.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm like in bed, I'm like, man, I don't want to do anything. Everyone has those days, but you push through them, man. The idea of you going in life like this is totally false. You're going to be going like this, but what matters is that you're going like this, but you're still going up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's...
You go through cycles.
You go through cycles, exactly. You go through cycles and phases and chapters. You know, one day you're a kid, next day, you know, you're in high school or you're in college, and then you're married. You're getting married. Congrats, by the way.
Yeah, soon.
That's crazy, man. Time flies. That's my sisters do on Wednesday. I'm gonna be an uncle.
Again?
I'm already an uncle, but another boy.
You're gonna be another uncle.
Isn't that crazy how like a baby will just like surprise, like, you know, one day.
Well, some stuff has to happen, but.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. Like my sister's pregnant, but then like the next day there's like a human. You're like, oh man, there's a human here.
Yep.
And I love my nephew, man. I have him on my lock screen. I think I love being an uncle because it's one of those where you're a dad, but you're not a dad. You're like, okay, let me play with him, and then when I'm tired, I'm like, here you go.
Yeah.
But I love that kid, man, and I want him to have the best life possible. I'm not a dad yet, but being an uncle has given me kind of like an insight on what fatherhood would be like.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see why parents really want the best for their kids. I really do. Sometimes I think we take it for advantage where usually when you go through that teenage phase, but you're like, mom, dad, like, leave me alone.
That's normal, though.
Yeah, it is. But I think the older you get, the more you should realize that, you know, family is all we have.
Mm-hmm.
And some people have their biological parents or they don't, but they still have some sort of guardian, some sort of person that they look up to.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, then there's always mentors or friends that you consider family. Like I consider you family, right?
Yeah,
so
you're going to be a groomsman.
Yeah,
at
I'm
my
excited,
wedding.
man.
Yep.
So yeah, you just being involved with people and understanding that, you know, time is of the essence. I remember when we went to play soccer the other day, right? We played soccer.
Yeah,
so
I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, so we played soccer, and then you wanted to get dinner after with your coworkers, and I was like, oh man, I'm tired, bro. And what did you say? You were like, bro, like, one day I'm going to die. You're going to be like, man, I should have
gotten that margarita with him.
Gotten that margarita.
But now he's dead.
And I was like,
and I can't drink a margarita with him.
Yeah, okay, bro, let's go. I mean, you really did change my thought. I was like, and you're 100% right. I was like, I mean, no one knows when their time is, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm gonna go to dinner.
So go get a margarita with a friend. Call a loved one. Tell them you love them. Take your parents out. Go eat dinner, lunch, whatever. But the field that I work in, let me tell you, you don't know when your ticket gets punched, and it could be something very unexpected. So just, you know, spend time with the people that you love. All right, don't forget about them. They think about you, so make an effort.
I agree. I think sometimes we get so caught up with our own life that we forget the bigger picture. I remember, I actually never told you the story. This happened in Dallas. It was an Uber driver. It was a young lady, really nice young lady. And I think something in me, man, was like, speak to her. I think it was God telling me to speak to her. So we started talking, and we're having a normal conversation, and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna go, you know, I'm doing this for the side to make money. I just finished my degree in journalism. You know, I'm hustling right now, trying to make ends meet, and I just applied for an internship at iHeartRadio. Mm-hmm. And little did she know, I'm friends with the vice president of iHeartRadio. And it could have gone two ways. I could have been like, all right, cool story. Thanks for dropping me off. But I didn't do that. I was like, you're going to do an internship at iHeartRadio? She's like, yeah, I'm nervous. What if I don't get accepted? I was like, let me make a call. I called him, connected her. She's getting the internship. And she was so happy. Mm-hmm. So excited. I didn't have to do that. I didn't want anything in return. I didn't ask for anything. She was like, what can I do? I was like, you know what I really want from you? She's like, yeah. I want you to text me your first day at the internship and tell me how I went. That's all I want. And she was so happy, man. I was like, do you believe in like manifesting? Do you believe that everything happens for a reason? God puts us in places for a reason. I'm like, this is a sign. I'm like, keep your faith, keep believing in what you believe in, keep doing what you're doing, because clearly this was meant to happen.
She fell into the right spider web.
Exactly. And it's one of those where you never know, you know? So, I mean, she might end up being the vice president of iHeartRadio one day. Who knows, right? The world's such a small, it's such a small world, and it does roller coasters, man. And all I can encourage is just people to be kind, be respectful, and just bring value into what you're doing. I get we get through ups and downs, but if you really just pray is big. Praying is very big. I think if you're ever going through troubles, anxiety, any sort of stuff, and you pray to your God, it goes a long way. It really does.
And a good therapist.
A good therapist
will get you, will take you a long way.
Yeah, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming in. I guess the idea of the event itself, has come a long way from, me meeting my mentor at a bar at, 3 a.m., right? To finally now delivering a concept that never existed. And it's because of people like yourself, people that want to see us win as a community is what makes the event successful, right? And I'm very lucky and blessed enough to say that, I've had some key players involved. I vividly remember this. I want to distinguish two people that made this event happen, because if it wasn't for them, it would not have been possible. One was Tommy Mello and Corbin Rayburn. And I was in Arizona and I met Tommy. It's kind of surprising. I was like, surprise, right? He's like, hey man, he's a good friend of mine, the guy that sold to the private equity firm. And he's like, so what are you doing, man? Like, how are you involved? And I tell him the vision. I was like, I want to do a conference for the Latino community. I was like, I'll give you an example. If you did 10 million and your target audience primarily speaks English, there's a whole demographic that's unaware of what you're providing. So there's a lot of business opportunity as well, because the Latinos have money.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, I like the idea. And I was like, it's not just that though. We want to impact people. We want to help people. We want to change stuff. We want to transition. We want to empower them. We don't want them to feel inferior. We want them to feel like they're capable of achieving what they want to do. And I kid you not, bro. He said, let me get my checkbook. Wrote me a check. With that check went straight to the deposit for the venue. I was like, now we're going somewhere. And it was a learning experience, man. But if it wasn't for people like that, the event would still be an idea. Because the unfortunate truth is, for anything, for a restaurant business, a car dealership, whatever, you need money.
Yeah.
Right? And it was one of those where I didn't have the funds, but I have to raise the capital. And how am I going to raise the capital? I need to connect with people. But those two people were the ones that literally transitioned everything into what we created. I don't want to toot his horn too much, but I tell him all the time, I'm like, we are where we are now because of you, brother. Like, thank you. And he's such a great guy, and Corbin's a great guy too. I had a conversation with Corbin before the event. It was an idea, but we were like moving, like we're sitting, getting our ducks in a row. And I'm like, man, I'm stressed. He's like, why are you stressed? And that conversation could have gone two ways. And that's why being transparent is so important, and being honest. I could have been like, oh, everything's fine, man. I'm doing great. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm stressed. I don't know how I'm going to get this done. I need to raise capital. I'm hustling. There's no proof I'm selling a vision that hasn't existed yet. And he was like, man, I went through the same tribulations when I was doing my tax firm. And he's like, I'm going to send you something. And then he sent me a wire. And because of him and Tommy, I was really able to push through it with the event.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So I think it's important to really align yourself and connect yourself and be with people that really genuinely care and want to see you win. You have this generation where, they'll go to places and they'll be surrounded by people that are just temporary. These people will spend countless money on X or Y stuff, but if you opened up your own marketing company, I bet you they're not going to sign up for you. So you need people that want to see you win, that will support you no matter what. And sometimes it's easier said than done. Sometimes you're going to be isolated. Most of my friends are 45, 50-year-olds, but they're married, they have kids, they have their own stuff going on. But they're great friends. Like when I need them for certain stuff or just a conversation, or if they need anything from me, they know who to text, who to call. And I think that's also what we want to do and kind of instill with the event as well, is getting people to understand that your network is your net worth. It really is, man. And aligning yourself with the right people who believe in you is very important. And this event is going to be bigger and better than the first one. And I'm so determined to make this successful. And one of the things that actually lit a fire up me was that someone said that, and I don't have the recording, but I heard the recording. They said an event for the Latino community, the Latino community is broke. They're not going to do a conference. That's not going to be successful. The Latino community doesn't understand that. They're poor. I was like, okay. The Latino community is poor. Very uneducated statement, right? And it was one of those moments like, all right, well, we're going to see who's wrong.
For the longest time, one of the richest men in the world was from Mexico, actually.
Bro, I mean, people are just uneducated. And the way he said it, he was like, a conference for the Latino community? Good luck with that, man. They're all broke. I'm like, that's funny. Last time I checked, our community's together. They support each other. They have money. And it's because of people like that sometimes that our community feels overshadowed sometimes. And I think being an advocate and being someone that can level the playing field is just as important to them as well. And providing that value and that education. So that's exactly why I created what I created. And I have so many visions and concepts with what I do, what I want to do with the community. And we're going somewhere, man. It's shutting up the naysayers, proving people wrong has always been something that I've done most of my life. I'm used to it, and I'll never give up. I'll never give up. My dad always told me, be the best. Steven, if you're going to steal, you better steal the biggest bank in the U.S. You better not steal no little ATM from the store. It's a metaphor, right? Yeah. Obviously, it didn't mean.
I've actually heard your dad's told me the same thing.
Yeah,
he told me once.
I don't know what my dad, but he'll like program you, man. Like,
he said it like this. Carlitos.
Yeah.
Cualquier cosa que hagas en tu vida,
sea el mejor.
Sea ladrón, financiero, sea el mejor.
It's true, man.
Just like that.
And I think when
I never forgot it, though.
I never forgot it either, man. I never forgot it. And it was one of those things where it's instilled. And if I commit to something, to anything, I go all in, brother. My relationship with God, I'm all in. My commitment to the event to help the community, I'm all in. When I'm in a relationship, I'm all in. And I think you need to go all in to really see the fruition of what you want to achieve. Sometimes people are saying, hey man, put your eggs in different baskets. No, man. If you see something, go for it. Don't give up. Simple as that. And I think that's what we want to teach, and I think that's what we're going to do with the event as well. We want to instill that mindset. Sometimes, I always forget too, sometimes people tell me like, Steven, you think so differently from people. And you know how sometimes misconceptions or misperception, like you think people think how you think, but people think differently. So sometimes people don't understand the way my mind works and why I'm so positive, why I'm so driven, why I work hard. Some people might lack that.
Some people don't think at all.
Yeah, some people just go some people go through life and don't live life.
Yeah.
I always
just in the rat race.
You're just living through it, you're not living it. The moment you wake up and you snap out of it, I'm not saying to quit your 9 to 5 and go to go backpacking in Europe.
Go to a strip club and meet the right person.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the moment you wake up and you realize what you want to do and bring value into this world, you'll see such a bigger message. You'll see the bigger picture. You can still work. There's nothing wrong with working a 9 to 5. I think it's great. It's stability, right? But then also there's so many things you can do prior and post that can really shift and change and transition your life to have more fulfillment. And I think everyone wants to have some sort of fulfillment. People want to feel loved. They want to feel appreciated. And something as opening the door. And when I'm feeling super nice, man, that car is like trying to get in there. I'll be like, I'll stop. Like, you know, you can go in the lane. I feel nice, right? I feel like that's my good deed for the day.
But what happens when like 2 other people go in?
I can't do 2, man.
All right,
like, sorry, man.
I'm done being nice.
I'll let them in. But it's just simple stuff like that, man. Because people are always in a hurry and a rush for no reason. That's one of the things why I never like sometimes driving. I'm like, why is everyone in a rush to go home and sit down? You know, just chill. But the meaning and concept of everything that we're establishing with the event itself is, you know, not just from a business perspective, but also from a personal development perspective. And the one thing that's so crucial, that's the biggest role in this, is God. If you don't put God in your life, I don't know what to tell you there. Best of luck, because God puts you in situations and places and opportunities, like the Uber driver lady, right? I called the VP of iHeartRadio. She got the internship, and I think people sometimes get disconnected, especially with social media and people being on their phone a lot. And then, you know, your algorithm does a lot. So like if you see garbage, you're going to start seeing garbage. If you see good stuff, you'll actually see a lot of good stuff. I appreciate you coming in. I know I did a lot of the talking. Thanks for listening, but you asked some really good questions.
Can I take this black shirt off now?
Yeah, you can take off the black shirt. But yeah, no, thanks for coming, man. And for all the viewers, I hope you guys were able to, you know, really understand the bigger meaning of what we're trying to build with the American Dream event. And until next time, thanks, guys.